I would just like to quickly go over number 31 on the review sheet and number 32 as well. I just realized we never even mentioned anything like either of those problems. So let me show you. They're not difficult. They look crazy, but they're really not too bad. So the way you want to look at each problem, number 31, start with a line to kind of emphasize where that bar is. The first piece you have is 28 divided by 28. Well, that reduces to 1 over 1 because they can both divide by 28. The next piece you have is x to the third power over x, which this is like x to the first power. Well, x to the third power means x times x times x. And x to the first power is just 1x. What happens is that one set of the x's divide off, and you're left with two x's together on top, and the way we write that is x squared. This is going to look a little crazy, and then it'll all come together. The next piece is y to the fourth over y to the fourth. So you take the numbers by themselves, and then the x's by themselves, and now the y's by themselves. Y to the fourth is 4y's on top, 4y's to the bottom, 4y's on the bottom. And what happens is all of those y's divide. They divide out. So there's no more y in the problem at all. And then finally, just keep that fraction bar going, you have z squared over z squared. Well, that's z times z and z times z, and they both divide off. So all of that just divides off and is gone. Your final answer, 1 over 1 is just 1, and all you really have is this term here, x squared. And so that is your answer. All of that divides off except for x squared. And I know I never showed you anything like that, so I really apologize for that. Hopefully you can see that. Then 32 is similar. So I wrote it here. This one works out a little different. Start with that fraction bar. We have 18 over 15. Well, those can both divide by 3, divide by 3. That should get you to 6 over 5. If you write the fraction bar first, it makes it much easier to see. Then we have x to the third over x. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 1 on the bottom. Those divide off. Again, you're left with x squared. And then we have y over y squared. So that's 1y on top, 2 y's on the bottom. So one set of y's divide off, and you're left with a y on the bottom. Don't move anything. If it's on the bottom, leave it on the bottom. And then lastly, z squared over z to the fourth. Z squared is 2z's. Z to the fourth is 4z's. Let's see, 2 sets of them will divide off, and you'll be left with 2 z's on the bottom. So if we put all that back together, you kind of separate it all apart, numbers, letter, 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 and then you kind of put it all back together. So on the top we have 6, and then we have x squared. On the bottom we have 5, y, and then we have 2 z's, so we write that z squared. 6x squared on top, 5y z squared. If it helps, that's y to the first, 1y. Alright, so that's how you work those two problems. The rest of the review I know we went over, and I know you can do it. It was just those two. I just realized last minute that I never showed you anything like that. So those are those two problems, 31 and 32.